Straight ahead on CCX News, plans to expand a Maple Grove gun range, why this facility is considered a regional asset. Plus, new businesses planning to open in Golden Valley, where the city will be getting a new restaurant and its first brewery. But first, Minnesota's high school graduation rate reaches an all-time high. How local school districts compare. CCX News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. High school graduation rates for most local districts increased slightly in 2017.
The upward climb mirrors a statewide trend, which had nearly 83% of students graduate on time last school year. That's an all-time high. Locally, Robbinsdale area schools had a slight uptick in its graduation rate last year, but still trails the statewide rate. Osseo and Hopkins schools also saw modest gains, and Wayzata remained near the top of the state with a nearly 95% graduation rate. On the flip side, Brooklyn Center was at the bottom of the metro with half of the students graduating in 4 years. While progress overall has been made, there are still disparities along racial and income lines. Delane Cleveland dug deeper, visiting with Osseo school officials.
Mike and Alex, officials with the Osseo School District say they're excited to see their graduation rates continue to climb. Simply put, they say it's a sign that the initiatives they've put in place at the elementary and secondary levels are working.
Some of the things that we've done are with advanced placement courses, that we've increased those offerings at the senior high school. We've also expanded our Check and Connect programs at the secondary levels to reduce dropout rates and increase engagement for our Black students and our American Indian students with disabilities.
Angie Fries is Osseo's Research Assessment and Accountability Director. It's her job to analyze all of the graduation data and figure out how they achieved those results. If you look at the district's breakdown of four-year graduation rates for students of color, there were gains for some groups. Asian students were at 90.7%, Hispanic students were at 67%, and Black students were at 71%. Meanwhile, for white students, the number was at 91.5%. The numbers suggest that there is still room for improvement to help keep students engaged.
But if something about the school environment isn't working for a student, we need to collaborate with those students and figure out what could we be doing to promote that engagement, continue that investment, and share that partnership with our learners to make sure that, again, every kid has the power to make an informed choice about what their next step is after high school.
The district also noted that for some students, like those in special education programs, the 7-year graduation rate is a more appropriate number to look at. And in the Osseo School District, the 7-year graduation rate is at 92%. Mike?
All right, interesting, thank you. The numbers are in for Minnesota's budget forecast, and it's a rosier picture than the last forecast just a couple months ago. With the legislative session now underway, state lawmakers and Governor Dayton will have a $329 million projected surplus to work with. That's a turnaround from the last budget forecast at the end of the year that projected a $188 million deficit. The surplus announcement comes largely due to federal funding that's been reauthorized for the Children's Health Insurance Program. Now it's up to lawmakers to decide how that surplus is used, and adapting the state tax code to meet recent federal tax changes appears to be a top priority.
There is going to be some spending initiatives. It's been well documented. The governor will have some as well. So it's going to be a fine balance of that. But really, tax conformity is something we really need to do for the Minnesota citizens, and they're going to be, the focus will really be on that.
You know, the tax cuts coming out of Washington, D.C., since they are deficit financed, place risk in the future years. They do cause short-term economic growth, but we have to be worried about the moment when we have to pay the piper.
The state officials also said the surplus in part reflects increased U.S. economic growth from federal tax law changes.
On the wish list for bonding money from the state is $4 million to expand a gun range in Maple Grove. The city of Maple Grove operates the North Metro Range and Training Facility, but 19 different agencies, including Brooklyn Park and Plymouth Police, use the space. The demand is so great that there are scheduling conflicts. The city would like to expand the facility to add 8 more lanes in the shooting range and more training rooms, which could benefit the entire region.
I think it's a really good example of how local government has said, let's share services and we can all get the efficiencies out of that. And that's what's taken this from the 2 agencies back in 1992 to now here we are in 2018 with 19 agencies, but we're out of space.
Initial plans call for an $8 million expansion that would be connected to the current facility. The hope is $4 million of that would come from the state. The nearest facility like this one is located in Edina.
Golden Valley could soon get something it has very few of in the city, a restaurant with an outdoor patio. The team behind Lemongrass Thai Restaurant in Brooklyn Park plans to take over the existing Perkins restaurant north of Highway 55. The new restaurant would be called Latitude 14 and is an Asian fusion concept. The owners are planning to add on a 500 square foot outdoor patio space to the building. They expect to employ 40 people at the new restaurant. The Golden Valley Planning Commission is recommending approval. Also coming to Golden Valley, a new brewery. Golden Valley officials tell CCX News that construction has begun for Under Pressure Brewing, which is expected to open sometime this summer at a site just north of the new restaurant. The food banks are always trying to improve the options for those in need.
A SEEP in Brooklyn Center will soon be unveiling Market Refresh, a concept that focuses on giving people better nutritional choices.
Our food shelf is transitioning to almost primarily fresh ingredients. So about 70% of all our offerings will be fresh produce, fruits, dairy, and meats. And that will be a real focus for us in order to provide the kind of food that people are best nourished by, but also that they want, in order to cook.
The month of March is a big one for local food banks. March FoodShare is put on annually by the Greater Minneapolis Council of Churches. Food shelves such as SEEP and Prism in Golden Valley receive donations and grants that help stock their locations with more items. SEEP hopes to collect 225,000 pounds of food during the month of March, and it's important because there are many people who rely on these places in order to eat.
We still see a lot of people who are coming in for the very first time. There's often apprehension, and we want people to know that we are a hand up. We provide services in a very dignified way, and we love it when we see people come back after their tough patch and say, I want to donate back, I want to give back.
On March 19th, Prism is moving to a new building for more space and an upgrade to the food shelf. Prism will share the facility with the Jewish Family and Children's Service. Both will be under the same roof, but remain separate entities. Still ahead on CCX News, we head to Providence Academy to meet this week's Standout Student.
Plus, the Breck boys hockey team aims for another upset in the section playoffs, and we'll have the highlights.
But first, is the serious cold over? Another high near 40 on Thursday. Here's a question for you. Do you remember a favorite school bus driver who drove you to school every day?
It's a hard job, and statewide dignitaries gathered in Golden Valley to share a few memories in honor of School Bus Appreciation Day in Minnesota. It was the second annual event to honor bus drivers who drive children to school in sun, rain, and sometimes snow.
In Minnesota, there's over 17,000 school bus drivers who take 760,000 kids to school every day. So this is just a great opportunity to say thank you for them. I think everybody can remember childhood experiences with their bus drivers.
And the drivers in attendance did not go home empty-handed, instead left with a few treats to celebrate the day. Well, this week's Standout Student is one busy kid.
Eric Nelson has more on an amazing young man at Providence Academy who succeeds despite his hectic schedule.
I try to organize my time as well as I can. It's definitely a struggle just being involved in so much.
Tommy Wayman's plate is overflowing.
It's kind of like a civil repentance, as we were talking about.
From academics to athletics, he is constantly on the go.
It's definitely very time consuming.
Tommy is a captain on the baseball, cross country, and hockey teams at Providence Academy, and he somehow juggles athletics with a demanding academic schedule.
It is a lot of work, a lot of late nights. You know, I like it. I like the challenge of being involved, having a busy schedule.
Whether he is on the diamond, the ice, or in the classroom, Tommy excels at everything. Balancing school with sports is a good thing.
After a hard day of school, maybe some tests, there's definitely a sense of just relief going to practice and letting off a little steam.
It's awesome, but also prepares him, I think, really well for life after high school.
Tommy will soon be focused on college and could wind up at the University of Texas.
I'm planning on going into mechanical engineering. There's definitely a lot of opportunities through that.
Currently, Tommy and his classmates are building a go-kart.
The go-kart project is our kind of capstone project for our 2-year engineering course. So we have 2 full-year engineering electives that kids can take.
At the end of the year, we put something like this together based on our own design.
The go-kart project is yet another example of Tommy's unlimited potential.
If he chooses to go in the science world, I mean, he could make the next big discovery or be a part of an engineering project, you know, that could help change the world.
In Plymouth, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
Still ahead, Maple Grove gets something new, shiny, and red.
But first, the Maple Grove boys hockey team gets set to play for a section championship. We'll hear from the Crimson coming up next in sports with John Jacobson.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. The Maple Grove boys hockey team will play for the Section 5AA championship on Thursday against top seed Centennial. Here's Jason Malillo with a preview of that game.
Maple Grove had an up and down regular season, but what matters now is the Crimson is 1 win away from repeating as section champs and going back to the state tournament.
The great thing is we've got 7 guys that have competed in this game before and then ultimately in the state tournament. So I think having that, certainly that to fall back on is a good thing. They come in more relaxed, they know they control the puck more, and it's just a good feeling. They're not as jittery and they're going to come in and play hard.
Maple Grove is also feeling confident because they're healthy after being hobbled by injuries and illnesses throughout the season.
I think everything's just starting to click. Our lines are starting to generate some chemistry and getting all of our sick players, injured players back, and everything's coming together pretty well.
I feel like we're playing well. We're finally pretty healthy now, so we've been battling with adversity all year with injuries and illnesses, so we're feeling good, yeah.
Maple Grove will face off against top seed Centennial for the 5AA title. The Cougars beat the Crimson twice this winter.
They've got some high-end players, McGregor, that first line, McGregor, Brickner, Wagner, very high-end talent.
We know what they run, we know their system, so we're just kind of trying to focus on ourselves right now and seeing what we can do to outplay them.
Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
The Section 5AA championship is Thursday night at 7 o'clock at Aldrich Arena. The Breck boys hockey team has struggled to win games this season. Mustangs have a losing record for the first time in years. They look to keep their season alive Tuesday when they faced off with Mound-Westonka in the Section 2A semifinals. First period, Whitehawks on the attack. The puck coming to Torsten Lee. He scores. It's 2-0 Mound. That's the score after 1. Second period, Breck gets on the board. Nick Strom on the rush. Sets up Will Torgerson for that goal, and it's 2-1. Still in the second, Torgerson with a great play to get around one player at the blue line, then skates behind the D and slides the puck in for his second goal of the game. It's tied up at 2 through 2 periods. And the Mustangs take the lead for good in the third. Justin Paschke passes to Harrison Klopp in the slot. He rips one into the back of the Mound net. Breck is ahead 3-2. Bo Cornier adds an empty netter for Breck late as they win 4-2. Mustangs have now eliminated the numbers 2 and 3 seeds in Section 2A. Mustangs will face top seed Orono for the section title Thursday night at Parade Ice Garden. Many of our local girls basketball teams tip off play in their section tournaments tonight. Maple Grove, seeded second in Section 8-4A, played its first postseason game Tuesday night at home against Elk River. The Elks play a very deliberate style, but they take a first half lead here on a 3-pointer by Lydia Hawk to go ahead 9-6. Katrina Tice gets a steal out top for the Crimson, and she takes it the distance to score and draws a foul. It's a low-scoring game. It's just 16-16 at halftime. Early second half, Abby Schulte steps in for the steal. She'll miss the layup, but Tice is trailing the play and puts it back for 2 of her game-high 15 points. Off a missed Crimson shot, Autumn Maliner grabs another offensive rebound, and she scores. The senior with 10 points in the game, 8 of them coming in the second half. Molinar on the backdoor cut from Tice for 2 more. Maple Grove wins 41-33. They'll play Moorhead in the Section 8 semifinals on Saturday. Highlights from the Wayzata Edina Section 6 AA Boys Hockey Final and more coming up Thursday, starting at 4 here on CCX News. Alex and Mike, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much. Up next, something shiny and new in Maple Grove.
It's cause for a ceremony. We'll show you up next.
Well, finally, our first look at something new, shiny, and red. And here's a hint, it also has tires.
All right, there's a new addition to the Maple Grove firefighting community. Fire Station number 5 in Southwest Maple Grove has gotten its first new rescue engine. The station was dedicated in 2004, and since that time, this is the first brand new truck that's ever been assigned to this station.
This truck was built in Wyoming, Minnesota by the Rosenbauer America Corporation. They've been building fire trucks since the 30s, so it's kind of nice to have Minnesota made in a Minnesota fire station.
This past weekend, firefighters had a traditional push-in ceremony of the new engine. The tradition dates back to when firefighting equipment was horse-drawn and upon returning to the station had to be pushed by hand back into the firehouses. I've never heard that before. That's really interesting.
I wonder what a fire truck like that weighs.
Yes.
And how many guys it
takes to push it in, right?
Yeah. And also how long it takes to lose that new fire truck smell.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's hope that lasts a while, right?
Yeah. Right.
That's all the news for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
And we'll see you back here again on Thursday, starting at 4.